One of my favorite stories in the Bible is the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000 on the hillside. We all know the story, but I imagine the story before the story. There's a little boy, and he's at home with his mom, and maybe there's a little sibling or something. The boy asks if he can go and spend the day with Jesus, and mom starts to think through, well, I've got to do this and that. I've got the little sibling. There's so much. It's really inconvenient. But when your child asks if he can go spend the day with Jesus, I mean, really, how do you say no to that? And so the boy runs to his room and changes real quick. And as he's getting ready to leave the house, mom says, wait, take this. And she hands him a basket full of food. You know the story. The crowd is gathered there on the hillside and they're visiting with Jesus, and Jesus is sharing stories. Oh, wouldn't I have loved to have been there? And as the day is progressing and the sun is starting to set, the disciples ask Jesus if they should send the people away so they can make it home before dark. And Jesus says, no, go through the crowd and see if you can find some food so we can eat. What a bizarre request. But when Jesus asks you to do something, you don't ask why, you do it. So the disciples went through the crowd, started searching for food. And there's this little boy, again, with his basket of food, kind of trying to hide it because he doesn't want to be called out. There's some people probably sitting next to the boy, and they see that he's got food, and so they call attention to him. Hey, he's got food. The disciples go over to the boy and say, would you share your food with Jesus? Can you imagine a better invitation? Would you share your food with Jesus? Obviously, when Jesus asks you to share your food, you say yes. So now the boy's on center stage with Jesus, a crowd of 5,000 people looking. Jesus takes the basket of food, lifts it up towards heaven, and then blesses the food. And that's when the magic happens. Jesus reaches into the basket and pulls out 1 loaf, 2 loaves, 3 loaves, then a couple fish, then 4 loaves, 5 loaves. And then the basket was empty, right? No, that's not the story. Jesus continued to pull more and more and more food out of that basket. Every single person on that hillside ate that day. And we're not talking about snacks. We're not talking about appetizers. We're talking about a feast. They ate and ate until they could eat no more. And when all the leftover food was collected, 12 heaping baskets remained. What an amazing story about the power of God to be able to take a small basket of food and magnify it into something huge. You and I have talents and abilities, and just think about what God can do with us if we turn our talents and abilities over to Him. Everybody went home that day with a story to tell. Again, let's let our imaginations go to work. Think about that little boy racing home in the dark. He couldn't wait to get home and tell his mother what happens. He busts through the front door of the house screaming, Mom, Mom, I can't wait to tell you what happened. And she goes, shh, 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 your little brother's asleep. But Mom, you don't understand. That basket of food you sent, Jesus took that basket of food. He used it to feed everybody, and there was so much food left over. Mom, look, I brought you some. What a great lesson about being available. Whether you're a mom who's busy or a young child or anything in between, God can use you most when you're available and willing.